was a rough day. Traffic didn't help either.
I-
Yeah, I worked downtown. It's like the night day I didn't even. Tried to get up. It was so bad. This game. And actually, this game flowed today. Yeah. Up until you get to 60. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm talking about from 60 down to, Miami Shores. Yeah,
Okay.
'cause I'm coming home.
We're ready when Luciano's ready.
Not synchronized. They're not synchronized. No. It's like in the morning.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're ready whenever you folks are. Make sure I'm not back feeding. Okay. Are we ready? Yeah, I'd like to call to order the Village of Biscayne Park Regular Code Compliance Board meeting for Wednesday, October 26th. Luciano, would you please call the roll?
Roll call, Janie Anderson.
Here.
Dale Blanton.
Here.
Linda Dillon.
Here.
Rodolfo Barrientos. All present.
Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board. The board is authorized pursuant to Chapter 14 of the Village's Land Development Code to ensure compliance with the village's Code of Ordinances. The members of the board are citizens and residents of the Village of Biscayne Park. We volunteer our time, and we are not paid for our services. The purpose of each hearing is to give any alleged violators the opportunity to contest the decision of the code compliance officer, which resulted in the issuance of a notice of violation, and to determine whether a violation of the village's code has occurred or is occurring. We are not authorized to dismiss violations based on hardships, ignorance, or the fact that others may be guilty of the same violation. These hearings are conducted in a quasi-judicial manner. Our responsibility is to act much like a judge in a court, and that is to hear cases presented by the village's code compliance officer and to hear contradictory arguments presented by the alleged violators. We're not authorized to change the code. The Village Commission is solely authorized to enact or revise codes. Conversely, neither the commission nor the village manager have the authority to overrule the findings of the board. Pursuant to Chapter 162 of the Florida statutes, orders of the board can only be appealed to the Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County. We have the authority to assess and order the payment of civil penalties, to issue orders having the force of law, to command whatever steps are necessary to bring a violation into compliance, and to assess administrative costs. In order to make a finding upholding the code compliance officer's decision, we must find that there is substantial competent evidence that the named violator was responsible for a violation of the relevant section of the code as charged. All participants are expected to conduct themselves in a civil and respectful manner. There shall be no comments made from the audience during the proceeding. If there is a disturbance or disorderly conduct during the meeting, the participants in the disturbance may be ordered to clear the room. The hearing will proceed in the order of the docket. The village will first present its case, and the board may request clarifications to fully understand the case. When you address the board, please state your name, your relationship to the property, and state whether or not you are contesting the violation, in which case you will then have the opportunity to present your case. All documentary evidence presented by the parties must be submitted for placement in the hearing file. No documentary evidence will be considered unless the alleged violator or code compliance officer submits a copy for the hearing file. Each party shall have the right to call and examine witnesses, to introduce exhibits, to cross-examine opposing witnesses on any matter relevant to the issues, even though that matter was not covered in the direct examination, to impeach any witness regardless of which party first called them to testify, and to rebut the evidence against him. If you intend to address the board and have not signed in, please do so. Anyone wishing to address the board, please stand and raise your right hand so I may swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of the law. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Now, do we have any additions, deletions, or withdrawals?
We don't have any withdrawals. We do have one continuance.
Which is,
That would be 11220 Northeast 10th Avenue. Case number EEN 211181.
Luciano, I've got some serious concerns about us hearing those two cases. They are built off admin citations, which very clearly give the two components that are required to come into compliance. One is to pay the civil penalty by the date prescribed or request a hearing, and the other obviously is to rectify the situation that initiated the admin citation. But unlike courtesy notices, admin citations are automatic fines. And with that deadline, the deadline in the first one was November 4th of last year. In the second one, it's November 20th of last year. We're now a year later. And the first communication that I can see in the backup didn't occur from this property owner until September. And she refers to how she should not have gotten an automatic ticket because she came into compliance before the date. But that's just to prevent the next admin citation. This is not handled as a courtesy notice, and she identifies as a code officer. So I would think more than anyone she would know. My concern, folks, if we open this up and if we hear this a year after the deadline, what about everybody else who may have been turned down or who says, I missed the deadline, I went and paid my fine. If I had known I could wait 6 months, 8 months and still have a hearing, I wouldn't have paid my fine. So I'm concerned about hearing this. I'm not inclined.
No, Janie, I was of the same opinion because I was looking and one of the concerns was that came into compliance, but this is an administrative citation. It's not a come into
Courtesy notice.
compliance.
Right.
It is to pay $25 because you're not in compliance of the code.
And that next
And
deadline is just.
Have
the
it
next step.
corrected by
Right.
by a certain date.
When
If
you get
not,
another one.
then you may get
Yes,
a notice of violation
right.
to come before us. So I'm not inclined to, the administration citation, as far as I'm concerned, would remain in effect.
Yeah.
And is to be paid.
I would make a motion that the board take no action and that the admin citations in both cases stay in effect.
I will second that motion. If you could give the case numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry. In cases EEN 211181 and EEN 211214, my motion would be that the board takes no action, the admin citations remain in effect.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion by Janie, second by Dale, pass 4-0. Approval of minutes. Has everybody had the chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Any changes? Any? On August 17th, my first question is under G4. Dale, that was your motion, so I'm hoping you will remember, and perhaps my notes were incorrect. Is that accurate, that there was no initial fine, strictly $25 if they had not pulled the permit by the applicable date?
Sorry. Yes, that's.
That's correct. Okay, I was wrong. Yes. Now, the other one is 8B. Attorney Valerie Vicente addressed the issue of tarps remaining on roofs. That is not what Valerie addressed. She addressed item number 5.2, chain link fence with bamboo issue. Mario addressed the tarps. She addressed, so that needs to be corrected before I can sign off on those, guys.
Could we approve them pending corrections of those two? Or do you prefer?
But the thing, we can approve them pending corrections, yes, but I can't sign them until they're corrected. But
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
So
that is-
motion to approve, Dale?
Motion to approve the minutes of August 17th, 20.
Oh, I'm sorry, there is one other. Under 6E, it should be, the approval should be 3-1, not 3-0, because it says right under there, Linda dissented.
But it should be 3-1. That's a
Yes.
minor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dale made the motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second? Second.
With correction.
With the corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, in the minutes of August 20, I'm sorry, minutes of August 24th.
I didn't find anything wrong. I'll make a motion to accept the August 24th.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, September 28th. Everybody had the chance to read September 28th. The only thing I found is that night there was an item under 7, the discussion regarding 1110 Northeast 119th Street. It was pulled because they had paid in full, but it still should be notated. It is something we discussed. And even if it's pulled, it still needs to be reflected in the minutes. But that's the only thing I found. What do you, anybody find anything else?
Didn't even occur to me to add that
Me
to it.
either.
So
Didn't think it was-
But it's something that was on the agenda. We sort of have to account for it.
should we have that put into the,
Just add it in.
okay, and then we'll just bring this back?
Well, you know, approve it, with that change.
Okay, you want to make a motion? I'll
Okay.
second it.
I would make a motion to approve the September 28th minutes with the addition under 7, discussion 1110 Northeast 119th Street. Excessive noise. It was pulled because they had paid their fines in full. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Okay, now we are on to the meat of the agenda. Luciano?
Our next case, 826 Northeast, 121st Street. Case number EEN 22-0383.
Which
Yeah,
number is
did-
this?
Did everybody get Mario's email?
5.
I have
Yes.
copies of that letter
Thank you so much.
from the village manager.
Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you.
The village manager kind of wrapped up everything where you folks stand at this point, and that you are working with the building official, with him, and I believe with planning and zoning. So as Mario phrases it, as we continue to work with the property owner and their team, I understand it will take several months to work everything out. Therefore, I ask that the board consider this letter and postpone the case until the latter part of the first quarter of 2023. I would, how do you feel?
I would like to see something more like on a monthly basis, a report to us as to what's going on.
I would too. But I'm inclined to respect Mario's request in terms of them coming back in front of us. I don't know that we need to require them to physically be here. If we could get an updated report,
That's
Every month.
That's fine.
would that be
Doesn't-
possible? Just include it in our discussion item? And then reschedule them to
That's
be
fine. I
here,
hope they
say,
don't have to come in
March of
person. It's
next
just
year?
some Sort of
I-
a,
Would that be, what do you
What
think?
about April? I mean, because
April?
that April's
Okay.
meeting,
Okay,
code meeting,
that's perfect.
because that gives it a full quarter in
Quarter.
addition to these holiday seasons of November and
Yeah, it's
December.
not gonna be a lot happening, right, right. So
Hopefully
would
these
that,
guys will be getting a lot happening, but
would that work if we could get at least just a report each month as part of our discussion item? And then if you folks would be rescheduled at the April code board meeting,
do we need to make a motion?
I believe,
I
yeah.
don't think so.
I'll make a motion that we would like some sort of written progress report on a monthly basis, and then have the case reheard at the April meeting.
I would second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, motion passes 4-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Our next case at 720 Northeast 117th Street. Case number is 02174.
See,
That's fine. C,
Yes, that's correct.
And E, basically.
That is correct.
Is the property owner present? Oh,
She's here.
okay, you could fill us in.
For the two cases, 02174 and 02175. Based on the evidence of this case, the village attorney recommends we should move to dismiss and release the liens on this case.
I would make that motion that that in the case of 02174 and 02175, per the attorney's advice, that we will release those two liens.
a second.
All in favor?
aye.
There's still one more. There's still one more. No, I know.
So this was for C and D.
Yes,
Was that the recommendations of the attorney?
okay, now, the next one does appear to be properly filed. The numbers all match up. And are they in compliance?
Yes, the property is in compliance.
This one I would Ma'am, go right ahead. And if you would, I need you please to speak directly into the microphone because it doesn't pick up unless you're speaking directly into it.
Are you able to hear me? Or do you need me to speak louder? Or is it on?
You can hold it in her hand too.
Oh, that's true. Might be easier for us.
Sure.
Please.
Is it on?
Identify yourself, please, and your relationship to the property.
So my name is Alette Jifoy, and I'm one of the property owners. There's two of us.
I'm sorry.
I am one of the property owners. I'm trying to figure out which one, because I'm not sure which one were dismissed and which one directly is this connected to, so I'm not sure which I'm
Two
answering.
that
Can
were
you clarify?
dismissed were the larger
Right.
ones.
So
The
the
one we
third
are
one-
hearing now is the one for pool maintenance and your outstanding amount, bear with me.
Yeah, this was for the one that was from dating back to 2013.
Right.
You know how much it was as of the last
34,
meeting? But that was as of the last meeting that it would be higher as of today.
Right. This would not be current because this was done October 19th. Currently, there's $3,417.50 outstanding. That would have to be paid
Okay.
before this lien could be released.
So that puts it, what's going on is that we are in contract, actually the closing date.
I'm sorry,
Um,
ma'am.
There's money in the escrow to pay for the fees, but we have to close on the property. So it's kind of in a circle now. So there's money to pay for this,
Mhm.
but it's in the property has to close, and what's pending the closing is the lien. And we are being threatened that they were going to pull out because the meeting was delayed several times, and therefore the buyers had to cancel. They're from out of state. They're up, so their team had to be here. So that's kind of,
Problem is, once we release it, there is no guarantee.
the property is being sold. I can show you the contract for the property. I don't even live here. I came here today. I've been on the road since 3 o'clock, and as Madam Secretary can testify, I was supposed to be online today. I came in person. I do not even live in the house.
Doreen, could I ask you to weigh in?
If there's a way for them to reassure the board, I'm sorry. Is there a way for you to reassure the board that this money will be paid? Because as she says, they are concerned about making sure that this money is paid before.
It'll come out of,
In all honesty, once we say release the lien,
well, you
it's
can
not
put something on
encumbered.
paper that I will sign as the owner of the property. You can do that.
It's not encumbered anymore. And there is
I
no
flew from
guarantee.
Maryland, from Philadelphia to here from 3 o'clock in the morning, ma'am, I think. That says something that should speak of somewhat. I understand your position, but at this point, I'm saying that the property literally is sold. We're not in the property. Whatever fees there is, bigger two items were obviously the most egregious issues, I thought. The minimum issue of,
Yeah.
that's holding the whole sale of this property. If there's, I'm saying, put it on writing, binding by my word or by my signature. I don't know what else I can tell you other than that money will be paid out of escrow. That's already there in a,
I believe we've had this situation before,
okay,
and that it required a letter to be signed by the seller as well as the buyer, that then notarized and legally drafted so that the village will get the money that is due.
so the seller should have to be involved in that.
Both,
Because they're
both,
threatened to pull out because of all the
No,
delays.
no, Are you talking about the buyer?
I mean, exactly, the buyer.
the seller,
seller,
seller
yeah,
and the
but here's
buyer
the-
both have to agree, because if you sell it and don't pay it,
And the
then
buyer
it
may-
falls on them. So it has to be an agreement between both parties.
Because what I understand is if there's money in, that's why the money.
That's
would-
why the
the
money is
money-
there.
That's
the money
correct.
would-
That's what I'm
the
saying.
But-
money
but-
would be put in escrow.
That's correct.
And if the money's in escrow to pay the lien, then I'm still mean, it's there. So obviously the seller or all parties involved, I mean, the buyer, all parties involved are aware that there's outstanding liens, two of which we've already dismissed. And the third one,
Well,
It's
we
the
don't
one
know
that
what the
needs to be
dismissal were
paid.
here.
Right.
right,
But I think at closing even, they can get signatures on both parties and have it. That
Yeah.
way, we're covered 100%.
I mean, I don't have any choice, but for me, I would rather that it's on us and it's on the property.
But that's the only way that we can help you. And bear in mind, ma'am, this lien was filed in 2015, 7 years ago.
Yes,
That's a
but I
long
can
time,
assure
ma'am.
you, you have not given me leeway because you actually cut everything that
So
relates to
it
this
was, there were
issue.
7 years, so. the
Yes, but
only
there are
way-
7 years and I cannot go into the consequences because you had already said that I cannot. But there's a reason why that did occur. And if you want me to tell you, I can go into that.
Well, at this point, I would be comfortable agreeing to the release of lien only if the village
Based-
furnished a legally drawn letter with signatures notarized by buyer and seller that the amount outstanding on this fine, which will be a little different
It would be as of the date of closing.
as of the day of closing, will be paid to the village.
I understand what you're saying, but you're asking me to agree for the buyers when they're not here. I am. That's the only problem I'm having with that because I'm agreeing.
Buyer has to agree because if it doesn't get paid, it gets dumped back on the buyer. They're not gonna like that. That comes along later either.
Okay, then will you give me something in writing that is what you're requiring?
They will issue an order.
Okay.
saying that
Okay, because then it's not me saying it. You understand? Because I'm also in a position with them.
The board can issue an order.
Yeah, so if it covers me that I'm not making this up, that you are asking this, then it puts it, no, you understand?
So if the
Right,
board
they
can
would
issue an
bring out
order
the
stating
escrow.
exactly
Right.
that
so if there's,
the lien will only be released or until it's paid for, when it's paid for at closing.
But it has to be a paper that's from you saying this is what is required to
And
fulfill
that can be
that.
stated in the order of the
Right.
board.
so basically upon an agreed order, agreed document, saying upon the closing of the.
And that can be done
And
at
that
closing.
point, the lien can be Released.
Mhm.
All parties signed a legally drawn letter. All parties signed agreeing to pay the amount owed on the lien for case number 5-13-1899. At closing, at that point, the lien is released.
And I'm understanding also that I will get some paperwork from you that that is what you're requesting for that to be fulfilled, correct?
There will be an order from the board.
Okay.
You get
State-
an order
Does
of
she have,
Okay.
does she have the date of the closing so we can figure out? how much
Ma'am,
it's
do you,
gonna be?
ma'am, do you have the date of your closing
The
yet?
closing was 2 weeks ago. We've been postponing it every week.
Yeah,
We
but
didn't.
You know how
request-
closings work. Even in the
No.
best of circumstances, closings can bounce.
You don't
Well,
have a
this has been-
closing tomorrow.
No, we don't have tomorrow because we've been postponing it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. We had a closing prior to this. That's what we find out about the loan. I mean, the lien. We did
need
not
that
know.
date So that we can figure out what the daily fine comes
Okay,
out
ma'am.
to.
Yes.
I would respectfully ask, please, if you would get with the code officer as soon as you have a date, because that's going to determine what the final total is.
Okay.
When your date is, and I would, am I assuming incorrectly, Shantae could probably draw up the letter, or do we need the attorney?
No, I think that the
need the
attorneys
attorney?
have to do it, yeah.
I can probably give you a date tomorrow because I know they're waiting on me, but I just want to, yeah, I just want everything to be in order.
So we're clear, a legally drawn letter, you and the buyer agreeing
Okay.
that at closing, the remaining, the balance on this particular fine will be paid in full.
Okay.
And at that point, the lien then gets released.
All right. And finally, when will it show for the other liens? When will it show that it's clear? Because that's one of the concerns that the buyers had. How long does that take for it to
Well,
be?
once the order is done, we will send all this paperwork to the village clerk and then she will have to file a release of lien. So that may take a few days to weeks.
Two weeks?
I wish she was here to speak for herself. I'm not sure what her timelines are and when she can get this lien
Because it's
released.
costing. Because I'm not
I do
here, I live
understand.
here,
Mhm.
We,
so I'm paying a mortgage there and I'm paying a mortgage here.
we will push it to make sure it's
Absolutely.
recorded as
And-
quickly
and
as
I do
possible.
Appreciate you coming and taking your time. I really do. Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion.
Right, I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Okay, motion passes 4-0.
This was 5E.
Yeah, this was 5E, yeah. Linda, thank you. That was a phenomenal idea. Thank you.
And maybe we could, because I know there's we probably went around the wording, maybe a little off, but the intent,
Right.
and maybe the attorney can give us the wording on a
Sure.
situation like this, so we'll have it in the
In the
future.
future.
Right,
Thank you.
because
Yes, good
I'm sure
idea.
he's gonna know what it is, but
Because
it
they've
would
done it
be better
before.
for us to have the wording.
Right, so that we're not sort of stumbling and kind of figuring for ourselves, but if we could have actual.
So
legal- I'll reach
they
out.
gonna-
I was gonna say,
they-
could
they
you
still
reach
have to
out
do
to
it.
Mario or Shantae to?
I
and
shall.
ask
They
the
have to
attorney on
pay it
how-
before we release the lien, right?
Right. You know, that has to show that that check is made out of village.
It's
before-
supposed to be a cashier's check. It's not supposed to be a check, so.
Yeah.
No, right.
We don't get into the minutia part of it,
Okay,
but we
well,
have
but
had
I
this
just
issue
know we've
before.
had this issue.
Yeah,
that's
we've
why I
had it
asked.
several times.
Yeah.
With closing properties.
Yeah.
This is my first experience with it, so I appreciate those of you who have had the experience. Thank you. But that's a very good point that what is the proper, because this is not the last time we're going to hear something.
No,
like this.
like I said,
It'll
we-
happen again.
Yeah, we've had several in the past for a while. We had some coming up. It was a period that came up
There were two, okay.
a few,
Two-
and that's
two
about
things.
2 years ago.
I need to touch base with Shantae. Wording, there was one other thing. Okay, next case.
Our next case, at 652 Northeast 121st Street, case number EEN 200086.
Construction without a permit. I see they apparently have now.
What number?
Case number.
A, E, H, or what?
5A.
Five
A is an
A.
alpha. So it looks like they have pulled a permit now, am I correct?
That is correct.
As of August the 29th, so, but what remains is the fines. The fines still need to be settled.
Okay. I am still going to ask the question. What number is this? E, F, G, H,
A.
I,
5A.
A.
5A.
Oh, we're still on the liens. Old business.
Now, the fine totals do agree with the signed order of enforcement that we did get in our packet last month. Go ahead, Jeff.
I guess my question is, the permit's been issued in 2022,
Right,
and this was from,
2020 was when it was opened.
and with several attempts to have it before with permits not being paid, permits not being picked up. My question is, why is this before us and not,
Right.
and not for a fine reduction?
Right, because that's what it would be. There's nothing more we can hear. We can't release a lien without the fines being paid, so it would need to go to the next step of a fine reduction.
Well, at this time, we're asking the board to dismiss this due to a citation being issued in error.
What citation was issued in error?
So both Luciano and I are custodians of record for this particular case. What that means is we did not issue this violation. So we relied on research. We had to research the electronic files and the physical files. We were not able to find some of the evidence supporting this case. We were not able to find initial evidence when the violation was issued. The only evidence I found on file were pictures that were taken from a website. Now, we could, as code compliance officers, not issue a violation based on someone else's evidence. We have to observe the violation. So in this case, what I found researching this case was that the officer did not actually observe the violation. They issued a violation erroneously on hearsay. And this is why we're asking the board to dismiss this case.
As I was going to say, one of the things we had heard first was that there was no signed order of enforcement, which there is. But that this is a completely different issue. Yes, you don't go taking snapshots off of Google search. I would have to respect, Luciano, that is your position that we should dismiss based on erroneous evidence.
Yes.
Make a motion to dismiss this case.
I'll second. All in favor?
Before we do, I just want, has a double permit fee been,
Did they pay the double permit fee?
We found out doing more research that she actually did have permits before this was even issued.
permits paid
But
for? Because
she
I was
had-
just,
That were paid
She
for?
had paid.
No.
She had. Ms. Porter, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The permit?
Mhm.
Oh, sorry if you can't hear me. Yes, I came to the village as a new homeowner and initiated the permit. Apparently that was canceled. Once we identified what was the issue, I had a meeting with code enforcement just to identify what needs to be done. They could not even find, I've had a new roof put on my house. I've had a lot of work done to my house and they can't find any of my prior permits, including this one that I initiated ethically prior to starting any work. So once we identified what needed to be done, I immediately worked with code enforcement to close the permit and get everything that needed to be done correctly, which was done.
But my question is, were there permits paid for the kitchen remodel
Yes.
prior to August 29th of this year?
No, it was canceled. The village, Pierre, who's the previous person,
But yet you did the work, even though you didn't have a permit at that time. That's the problem I have with the double permit fee not being paid. She continued to do the work without paying for those initial permits.
I was never contacted. I was never contacted to close
Ma'am,
anything
trust
out.
me, we've all been through that, so we have to call. We know, you got to kind of stay on people. It happens to all of us, but we have a responsibility as the homeowner, as someone doing construction, to stay on people. And not just-
Understood, but I also requested all of my records and none of that could be found because like I said, I've had a roof put on, I had a lot of other work and I had paid contractors to complete these tasks. So me as the homeowner, when there were several other permits closed out at that time, but there was no plan to do anything covertly to get cabinets put into my house to have this.
no, and the reason I ask is I'm only relying on
Exactly.
the time frame and
It's time.
notes that I had made.
Mhm.
And it basically had to do with, it was applied for, there was no payment, no pickup,
Mhm.
notice of violation, plan submitted, permit canceled, not picked up. And so that's why I was asking, based on what the village has provided us, in a timeframe, I'm going, well, it looks like you attempted, but never picked up the permit. And so I hear you.
No, I
I'm
was
I'm
never
just pointing out what I-
contacted. You can't even find anything in my file where there was even any attempts
Mhm.
via email or by, at all, any phone calls to pick up anything.
And I'm only attesting to the way the violation was issued. As a code officer, I would have never issued a violation based on.
No, I
getting
understand
information.
it's two separate issues.
Right.
The fact that the violation was issued based on screenshots from a Google search.
Right.
Yes, of course, we know that was wrong. We get that part. It's just that it still
Following.
doesn't change the work without a permit. It should have required the double permit fee, but okay, that's
Yeah,
water
I-
under the bridge at this point.
That was, I was just gonna say, I was just pointing it out. I'm not in disagreement with the motion.
No.
For us,
And I appreciate
my,
both of you.
my question was
your
about the
input.
double permitting fee, because I know we as a village sometimes
Uh-huh.
miss out on our double permitting fee,
Yes.
but that was more or less as a side note. So I have no qualms with dismissing.
I have a
with the motion.
question. I have a question. So can we consider dismissing the case and making another motion in terms of a violation occurred and a,
Mm,
No, we
No,
don't have any
that's not
evidence.
before
We
us.
don't have
okay.
Any
forget it,
evidence.
forget it,
Yeah,
never mind,
yeah.
just whatever. My motion stands.
It was your motion or Janie's?
Mine
Okay,
and Janie
Second.
seconded.
all right. That sort of answered those were my
So,
comments.
repeat your motion.
My motion was to dismiss
And I
the
Second,
case.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first and second, Linda and Janie, motion passes 4-0. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. I will send your order in the mail.
Next.
Our next case, it's 11600 Northeast 11th Place. Case number EEN 220498. That is item K.
Jesse, if we had had everything
I
last
have
month, we have this, one. Got it. We, much better
Oh.
back. We're good. Somebody else may want to see more, but
Okay.
if we had had all of this last month, it would have made a big difference. I mean, Luciano, going through the backup, what is your impression?
Well, based on all that information, most of this could have been avoided. So I would like to ask the board to dismiss the case due to erroneously issued citations.
I mean, it's really very clear that you did everything, but first of all, that you were given late notice. And you putting a pool in and you're going through all those inspections and nobody?
Nobody, but
It's
then
a-
I have a bigger issue now with the pool, actually. The previous inspector approved everything.
Uh-huh.
And now the final, he said it's not approved on the final. I'm like, why? Because you did the pool right next to the electrical panel. The electrical panel was always there. It's not that I put an electrical panel. So now I have a bigger issue that we hired lawyers to take a look at it.
Something as simple, I mean, it's critical to me that every single inspector, no matter what their inspection category is, should surely know to say to a property owner, you need a legitimate construction fence. They're the ones out there firsthand.
And they're looking at it.
Right.
They're actually removing the fence that I put and put it back in. So it's like-
And to let you know when your project is definitely almost done, is kind of pointless. I feel you did everything possible, and I'm sorry you were put through this. My motion would be to dismiss.
I second, because I am full agreement and.
I'm
glad
so
you-
sorry.
$10.
I totally apologize for what you went through. I hope we will do a better job of communicating.
Well, I'm glad you didn't try to Zoom tonight.
I mean, it should be part of, you should not be handed a pool permit without being
Yeah.
handed, you need a fence permit.
Which I would have.
Of course you would have done it.
I don't
If you
know.
knew, because I'm gonna give you the difference. 20 years ago, when we put our pool in, I only had to have what you have. Life changes, and if we don't communicate to residents, how do they know? So again, I apologize. Thank you for coming again tonight.
It was the one that was here last,
We have
last.
a first and a second, and motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Who is next?
Okay.
Next, I'm sorry.
Our next case, that's 717 Northeast 119th Street. Case number EEN 220571.
So they are in compliance?
Yes, that property was in compliance. The watercrafts and trailer were removed. Property was re-inspected and photos were taken.
Questions? Sir, if you would identify yourself and your relationship to the property,
My name is Paolo Meglio. I'm the owner of the property.
go right ahead.
What's the date of the violation?
July 27th this year.
Yeah, I was leaving on a business trip and I think the canoe's with me. So, yeah, I probably was at the grocery store packing a cooler when the trailer was there. My question is, what constitutes a violation? Because the old code compliance officer, I used to call him because, for example, my neighbors, where I store my boat on the side of the house, it's their bedroom, right? So I pulled the boat out the night before or the day before and put it in my driveway because I'm going fishing at 5 o'clock. Because at 5 in the morning, I don't want to wake up. So does that constitute a violation?
It does, because they're not supposed to be in front of the house for anything longer than you might pull into the backyard. Or maybe if you, Luciano, if he's washing it or something like that, but other than that, they're not supposed to be there, is that correct?
So if I'm washing the boat, that's okay. I can be in my driveway, wash the boat, and stick it into the side yard.
We are very reasonable people. I mean, if we saw you washing your boat, for
Right.
sure, and it's gonna be there for 10 minutes, just washing it, we wouldn't really issue a violation. We probably would do a courtesy notice, remind you that the boat cannot be there. It has to go to the back or where it cannot be seen.
What does
Yes.
it say then?
Well,
I-
give and take.
But sir,
But
we've
I'm-
had
I-
people,
it is because, I mean, there is a point here of experience, right?
Mhm.
Like, I drive a trailer on a regular basis. I know how loud it is to pull a trailer out from someone's house at 5 in the morning or at 8 o'clock at night and come back from fishing, right? So if I park it in the driveway to put it in, you know, if my neighbors are, I don't want, that's my biggest thing, is I don't want to disturb my neighbors.
the problem is, if everybody did that, it totally negates the point of the ordinance,
It
because
negates the point of the ordinance if they are leaving it there days on end.
But
But if
it-
they're leaving it for, you're talking about 8 o'clock, in this example,
Sure.
for point of an example, right? You're talking about 8 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning.
It's still, it goes against the ordinance.
So, so one of the things that it says in the code is that you don't disturb your neighbor with your boat. So which is the heavier thing? It disturb, my neighbor gets upset because at 10 o'clock at night, I'm pulling my boat into the side yard or leaving it in front of the driveway, because both of those are in the
You
ordinance.
make exceptions throughout the village, we basically have
Selective enforcement.
the useless ordinance. You can't do
So-
it, sir.
And then the other thing that you have is you do have neighbors, which I've been told are grandfathered in, that do have their boats in front of their yard.
They had to get the variance, I believe, the administrative
April of
variance it was by
2014.
2013. By 2013, and that had to be, they had to show that there was no possible way of getting the boat to the backyard. That ended in 2013.
But Miami-Dade County doesn't allow grandfather.
Well,
So I would have to then go to court with Miami-Dade County, is that what you're telling me?
that's not what I'm telling you at all, sir. I'm telling you what
No,
Biscayne
I
Park has
understand, but
done.
what you're
That's
saying
all
is
I'm
that
saying,
it's
sir.
a court procedure beyond what the board does, I have to go to the county, right?
If you don't like our finding, yes, sir, you have to go to circuit court.
Right, that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. So what I'm trying to interpret is when I read the code, there's two things that put me in violation. One is being in my driveway. Two is disturbing my neighbor. Which one do I put more precedence on?
You're disturbing the neighbors, so I think you will find involves excessive, long-range, loud noise. It doesn't involve just pulling your trailer out, sir. Okay, any other questions, you guys?
You're
I-
absolutely right about that. It has to be for a long period of time. If you're just pulling something to the back.
That does not
So
constitute.
even if my neighbor complains about that, because I happen to have one neighbor across the street from me. Like when I'm pulling out from the side yard, because of the way the street is,
Mhm.
my tow vehicle will go momentarily. into
Sure.
the-
To the
He'll
middle.
come running out and say, don't break my street. So you see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm trying to get clarity. Because the last
Boat
thing I
has to,
want is a
the
phone
boat,
call.
except for my, pulling in and out, it's got to be behind the front facing of the house.
Okay.
Okay, are we
And-
ready
and
for a
the
motion?
issue with this particular violation was, it was also not just, it wasn't in the
Right.
driveway, you were parked on the grass.
Correct.
That's
No, no,
it.
I don't have I'm not disputing. I like literally pulled in. And I know, that's why I asked you the date of it, because I was leaving that day. And because if I stay hitched up,
Mhm.
then I'm blocking the road,
Sure.
right? So I literally went and packed the cooler and then went off to do the coaching that I did. I run a coaching business. Like
we ready for a motion?
tonight I'm here, I usually coach breast cancer survivors tonight. And tonight I'm here, I'm coaching them because I'm trying to get clarity on this.
Okay, are we ready for a motion?
I Make a motion that a violation in case number EN 22571, a violation did occur and assess a fine of $75. Now in compliance.
And close the case one page.
And close the case once.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Here we have a first and a second, Dale and Janie. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
So the violation, I pay.
75.
City Hall.
Our next case, it's 11221 Northeast 11th Place, case number EEN 22-0539. That's item J.
Okay, Mr. Candelaria. The insurance company, how's it going?
So we were able to finally settle on it. We've received payment. We went ahead and pulled permits to go ahead and do the roof work. I would say 2 months ago. It finally got approved, I want to say last week. The roofers has started working already. They already went ahead and had, I believe, the first and second final inspection should be already have been completed, waiting on the results from that. And then the pressure wash, they're fixing some broken tiles now. And then from there, hopefully by the end of this week, hopefully by next week, they should be pressure washing and completing everything.
Luciano, what's your opinion?
Well, I did do some further investigation. I see that he did obtain the permits, and I have copies here. You can pass them down.
I'm good. Do you need this?
Thank you so much.
So
The only thing we would ask of him is make sure that when we went back to your property for inspection, we didn't see the permit posted. That's a
Oh, yeah,
violation.
interesting.
Please do make sure that the permit is in the front, so when we drive by, we don't think illegal work is going on.
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and pull that tonight then.
well, my question is, because the violation before us was
Dirty roof.
dirty roof.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with re-roofing. I
Right.
remember you, but I'm just telling you, it
Uh-huh.
has nothing to do with re-roofing. But if it's being re-roofed or repaired, is it a complete re-roof?
No, so it was up, it was gonna be just a re-roof on the back part, but they told me not to let no one go up there until the insurance paid out
Right.
because of the potential of anything else having being damaged, and that could go ahead and mess up the claim with the insurance. Once the insurance went ahead and paid out, then I was allowed to go ahead and hire a contractor for they could do their assessment and fix what was needed.
So you're just repairing the roof, not re-roofing?
No,
I just
no,
wanted to know.
no, I did re-roof, but not the whole roof, a portion of the roof.
So my point exactly. So the dirty roof still needs to be done once the work is complete.
Yes, and that would be happening this week or by the end of next week, it should be done.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this or have it come before us with the next hearing with an update on the
I would second.
re-roof. If you have it clean by the next hearing,
It
looks
could-
like you've complied with.
Could we, instead of me having to show up, could I go ahead and just submit a report of
Well,
that,
as
of that
long as Luciano
compliances?
Sure, as long as Luciano approves.
Right.
Okay,
So just, you would make note that come back next month with the report and we'll go from there.
Noted.
So a motion and
The motion was,
Go ahead, Dick. Go ahead, Matt. Who's second, Jamie? Second.
um, a motion was to hear the case, postpone the case till next month, which is our next hearing, November 16th.
Make a comment.
11.
You guys know that I'm one of these people that dots the i's and crosses the t's. When I looked at this, I noticed on the order to appear or the notice to appear, that it says it's a dirty pool
yeah.
instead of a dirty roof.
We'll have
So-
that discussion later, yes.
Okay.
That's a discussion we need to have at the
Alright.
end. Mr. Candelaria, thank you so much. I
Okay.
appreciate all your
Thank you.
efforts. That is finally working out.
We can vote. Jenny, we need to vote. I think we have to vote.
I'm sorry. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Next.
Okay, our next case, that's 1003 Northeast 118th Street, case number EEN 22-0293. That's item G.
Okay. And any questions?
That's not one.
No,
one
it's
more
just
thing.
gutters.
It's not the generator. This is installing gutters without a permit.
All right, we'll hold it for generator.
Which one are we doing? Are we doing the generator? Are we
No,
doing the?
G.
We're doing the gutters without a permit.
Gutters without a permit. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
The property is not in compliance. And today they applied for a permit, but the permits have not been issued at this time. They applied for it, but it has not been.
Applied, but they have not been issued.
That is correct.
Questions, anyone?
No, other than they've applied, and I would assume that if granted, it would be a double permit fee. Well,
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to find that a violation did occur and assess a fine of $100, and to have the permit pulled by. This doesn't have to go through plan and zoning.
Yeah, it's outside,
A gutter does?
it's outside.
Mhm.
Wow.
Anything?
Of no,
That's
come in
fine.
and have the permit pulled by 11/17 of 2020. That gives about 2 hearings, isn't it?
There's a,
November 16 will be the next hearing.
Oh.
No, for P and Z.
P
Oh,
and
for
Z.
P&Z, yes. they do have.
Let's take a look.
the 7th is the next one, and then after that, I believe is the 17th. So
Yeah,
So
I
up
would,
to the 21st, November the
yeah,
21st.
because you gotta get,
Okay.
and I have to tell you, it took me 2 months
I'm not
to
sure.
get permits for handrails. They had been approved by P and Z. It took 2 more months.
It's.
I've got a newfound compassion for the length of time it's taking people.
All right, but can we also instruct and if any delays,
They can always come back and.
yeah,
tell us.
because we have to have a certain time
Sure,
for
sure,
the
sure.
permit to be
So you're saying,
full.
you're saying
Sorry.
$100 by 11/21, or what's your daily?
$10 per day.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Okay, first and second, Dale and Janie, all passes 4-0.
Now is the generator.
Our next case, that's 1030 Northeast 121st Street. Case number EEN 22-0583. That's item H.
Is it coming to compliance yet, or it's still?
This property is in compliance. Reinspection was conducted.
I really like the way you're giving the pictures, Luciano. Thank you.
I'll keep up the work.
I had a question on this one. When I looked at the pictures, to me, it looked like it was just the gate was left partially open. I didn't see where it was maintaining in terms of the safety structure. I thought they just left the gate partially open.
But even that is a problem, because if there's nobody there, that's.
I understand, but I mean,
Linda, I hear you. That's I have question marks in picture because I'm looking at the picture and I'm
I don't
going,
see-
I do
I
not
don't
see
see
a
a
partial
partial
fence. So I was
fence
hoping for
either.
an explanation of what constitutes a partial fence because I'm seeing it appears to extend the full length of the property.
right.
And I mean, I don't know that somebody is not on the property.
Ah,
I mean,
good
to
point.
me, this looks like, okay, somebody may be working it, they may be in the house, in the backyard. I don't know.
It's actually a vacant lot. There's nothing there.
nothing
So,
there.
there's
Right.
nothing.
There's nothing there.
What you're looking at is the compliance picture. The fence wasn't around the circumference of the property when they issued the violation. It was on one side of the property, and I apologize that we don't have an initial picture of which they took when they issued a violation. I believe we saw that. And this picture we took when we went back to the property for reinspection.
Okay, I guess my other question is if there is no construction going on, it's just a vacant lot.
It's not a vacant cleaned up lot.
It has a sign that there will for constructions.
Okay, so then I'll ask for testimony. So is it the testimony of the code officer that at the time of the violation, there was not a construction fence up around the perimeter of the property?
Yes,
And now they are in compliance?
now they're in full compliance.
And did they come into compliance after, when were they given notice? It was just a notice of violation. Okay,
And we are custodians of records. We didn't issue the violation, but on our day of reinspection, which was the 18th of October, we did find compliance.
okay, all right. Thank you. I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that a violation on case number EN 22-583, that a violation did occur, is now in compliance, assess a fine of $100 and close the case upon payment.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Our next case, 11031 Northeast 9th Avenue, case number EEN 22-0605. That is item I.
Is it still open or have they pulled the permit?
This property is in compliance. We asked the board to dismiss due to citations being issued in error.
So the electrical contractor was there to inspect a different project. While they were there, they noticed that there was a generator and it might have looked new to them. So they decided, oh, this generator was installed without permits and issued a violation. We did a reinspection. We were not able to see because there's a fence. But fortunately, the owner of the property came to the village and they brought us evidence. This was the title. Did we give them a
I'm
copy?
sorry, yes.
Okay. They gave us the survey that shows that the generator was there when they bought the property. And also evidence of their home inspection that was done when they bought the property, that the generator was there sitting in the position that it is now. And with that evidence, we would ask the board to dismiss this case. It was issued erroneously.
You see the generator has been there for a while.
It's
already.
got rust on it. It's got rust all over it.
When we looked at the Google picture.
Structure.
I make a motion to dismiss this case.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Linda, second by Dale, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0 to dismiss case.
That's all we had for the board.
We have one more.
have a new
Uno más.
New business.
Uno más. 11853 Griffin.
That's case 11853 Griffin Boulevard, case number EEN 22-0195.
Okay.
This property was not in compliance. We did a reinspection.
Any questions?
I have an issue. We agreed in the last couple meetings that we would have courtesy notices given first. There was no courtesy notice given. I would like to see this receive a courtesy notice. And then if they don't do it within a certain amount of days, you know, whatever, and then,
Actually, we don't even have to do that. We could make a ruling that we give them X number of days to do it, which is what we've been
okay,
doing.
all right.
And then if they don't do it in the X number of days.
Then it would be,
They don't
you're
have to
fine.
recite. We can roll
Exactly. Okay, that's fine.
How much is your motion? How much time?
This is 6, I say give them till I'd like to give them 6 weeks.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
The
no.
courtesy notice was issued on this property for the dirty roof in March.
It was, it wasn't included in our packet.
Sorry.
Sorry
Yes,
about
it
that.
is.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
March
forgive me
1st.
So much.
I missed
apologize.
it.
And I saw it and
I missed it.
I saw it and totally forgot.
So they were
Okay.
given
You
their
got a
due
courtesy
process.
notice 7 months ago.
I take back what I was saying.
That's okay.
Thank you, Doreen, for correcting
Thank
us
you.
because, and I knew I saw it and. Would you like to reframe your motion?
Yes, I would. I make a motion that there has been a violation has occurred and that they are fined.
$75?
75?
Mhm.
Fine $75 and have them come into compliance. I don't have a calendar. But by November 30th.
And
there's
what would the daily be?
And if not in compliance, a daily fine of $20.
I would second that. We have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 4-0. 75, comply by the 30th of November or 20, is that correct, Linda?
75.
I think we have made it through the cases, am I correct? Does everybody have time for just a little discussion?
Mhm.
Raphael, can I ask you a favor? Would you come join us up here? Overall, well, first of all, thank you both very much. I mean, you filled in so many of the blanks. You had such solid backup information that it just made things so much smoother. I think we all appreciate that more than you'll know. Much, much appreciated. Just some little quirky things with the backup. I know what it's like to want to use the same form over and over and over and just go in and make the changes. But in so many cases, there was somebody else's name attached. There was things
Pool for the
referencing
roof.
pool that were really roofs, whatever. We got to be a little bit more careful because these are all legal public documents. And for example, one of the biggest ones was the lady with the 3 liens. One of hers, that was a real expensive lien, the notice to appear said it was for the pool. No. Papers seems to have gotten switched. There's one backup that had the agenda in the middle of it. We gotta feel, again, if I sound a little neurotic, it's because these are all legal documents, public records, and little things that take away our credibility. Misspellings, like somebody's name that doesn't go to that property and things like that. And I understand we all did the old copy and paste thing. Took form and just use it over and over, but we gotta clear and then start fresh. That was kind of my only thing.
We really appreciate the feedback.
Thank you for the input on the fines. That, that means it's so meaningful because you're working with this every day and you are in a far better position to know what's working and not working. So my plan is I'll update everything. I'm pretty sure it's not a sunshine thing. I can probably send it to Shantae and she can distribute it again for the next meeting. Do we need a special meeting or we'll just do the discussion after
We
the
can just
meeting?
have a discussion. I think it
After the
would be
meeting.
very quick because
Cool.
I tell you what, if I'm the
long
only
day.
one at the office that day, I won't get home till a little before 6.
Okay,
I
perfect.
think
Yes.
6:30 is fine.
Especially if it's not a sunshine thing, if she can send it out to you guys, you'll have time to look at it and make any changes you might want it.
Yeah, because it's not a personal opinion of yours. It's only a document
Right,
that you're
right.
presenting.
And I'm also neurotic about that.
Yeah, I agree. And I value the fact that y'all had gave us such good insight with the
Wow.
liens, because I had written up a number of notes. First of
Uh-huh.
all, my biggest one is, why are we hearing these? It should be a
Right.
fine, why isn't it a fine
Right.
reduction request?
Exactly.
And then the fact that they may have been, there was no, improperly cited or no documentation.
Oh, and I found out another interesting piece of
Greatly
information.
appreciated.
Apparently, code liens have a 20-year statute of limitations.
Yes.
So they couldn't even refile.
No, that's why.
Yeah, they do reach their sunset after 20 years and they cannot be enforced.
That's something I don't think anybody here knew.
Yes, we did. Those of us that have been around and doing this for a long time, I knew.
Knew that from hearing it a long time ago, but really, it doesn't come before us.
Right.
So, I mean, it would be for the village to go out and recite again, or if the
Right.
Violations still exist.
violation still was in existence.
Because that
Right.
was my first question today. Can they recite? Were it not 20 years? Yes. 20 years?
So, our next hearing is
November 16.
November
So it's
16th.
And hopefully someday Dropbox works out.
I don't know.
Yes, it is.
But again, I just want to thank every one of you. All of you have just really stepped up. It had to have been a crazy month with a lot of turmoil and upheaval, and you guys have just been professional and responsive, and I am most grateful. Thank you. And beautiful job for your first meeting here. I'm sure it's not your first meeting, but your first meeting with us. And Doreen, a pleasure to meet you. I knew when Mario said someone was coming from CAP it would be good. Years ago, back when Anna Garcia was our village manager, she had two code officers from CAP. They were phenomenal. And they, in fact, one of them she ended up hiring here as a full-time assistant member of Camino. And he's gone on to do better too. So I knew when Mario said it was from CAP. And I can just see tonight, what a difference. Thank you both. Any other comments, folks? Rodolfo? You good? Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. It is,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it is 7:52.
7:50.
7:50. 7:50.